Welcome back to the Geeky Chocolate Extravaganza. We are so excited to be offering our chocolate covered popcorn class. This has been part of the extravaganza for many, many years. We usually start with one class and then it fills up. So then we do another and another. And what does it end up getting to be usually? 5, 6 classes during the extravaganza?
It gets quite large.
We oftentimes think it's because of the subject matter, but truthfully we've figured out over the years that you guys love spending time in the kitchen with our dad, Brad the dad. So oftentimes people are like, I just wanted to sign up to take the class from your dad. And so we are so lucky to have him here. If you are new here, this is our father. He has lovingly earned the nickname Brad the dad. So if you see him around, don't be afraid to reach out and say, hi, Brad the dad. He's always teaching us the essential things, and he has become the master of chocolate covered popcorn. He does not give himself enough credit in the kitchen, but we're happy to have you here making chocolate covered popcorn. Where should we start? Should we talk about the popcorn first?
Sure.
Okay.
Here at Orson Geeky, we sell what we call a mushroom popcorn. Some people call it monster mushroom popcorn, but it's shaped a little bit different than your standard yellow corn. In my left hand is the monster popcorn. You can see it's a little plumper. It also has a much firmer skin on it, and this is your normal yellow corn. There's your regular popcorn. If you can tell on here, the regular popcorn will pop out and have all kinds of little, what I call phalanges on it.
Arms, fingers, whatever.
And when you start to coat it, these start snapping off. And so you end up with a ball like this size. And we're not real happy about that. So we have been able to get another popcorn out there, which is called the mushroom popcorn. It pops in a round ball. So that's the difference between the two popcorns for if you're going to use them for coating. If you're just going to put some butter on them and eat them, either one is just fine.
So you've heard us rave about the mushroom popcorn for so many years. There's been a lot of common questions that we get from you about the seeds. We thought we would address these so that if you have these concerns, you'll know where to come.
The chemistry behind the way popcorn works is popcorn has a moisture content. The ideal moisture content for popping is 14%. And this right here is some seed that we had sitting out since last year. I tried using some of that just the last couple of days, and it won't pop worth a darn. It burns, it takes a lot of heat to get it to expand and to pop, and when it pops, it's a very small kernel on it. We were able to find out a little bit of information about how to take some old seed that may have lost its moisture content and to rejuvenate it. And so if you take some and put it in a jar, add about a 1/4 cup of water to it, and then it's best to have a seal tight lid, something that's going to help hold that moisture content in there, and just shake it around and let it get around and coat all of the popcorn with a little bit of moisture. Now it'd be nice if it was instant, so right now you can use it. Unfortunately, that's not the case. You need to let it sit for 2 or 3 days, and it will absorb all of that water, and then the moisture will be back inside. So the way popcorn pops is it's introduced to heat, and there's moisture inside that turns to steam. And when the steam gets enough pressure in there beyond what the skin of the kernel will be able to hold, it then explodes and pops it into the popcorn. The more that moisture can build up inside there, the bigger and larger the popcorn will be.
So when you have no moisture left in your popcorn seed, that's why it ends up burning or not getting as big. It's because it needed that to get its beautiful blossom. So if you have some older seed, or if you've popped some and you're just not getting the same results as you did the year before or even 6 months before, add some water to it, let it sit for a few days. And I just leave it in a place where I can see it. So if I see some water getting on here, just give it a good shake to help get it all around. But that should rejuvenate your seed enough to give those beautiful mushroom kind of large kernels. So if that's something that you have struggled with, we hope that helps. Another thing that I actually did not catch, that someone that took my dad's class, was how he pops it, and he gives the popper a little bit of a shake, because sometimes when these kernels pop, they're a little bit larger and a little bit heavier than the large yellow seed, and so they kind of just want to stay in the popper. So you want to show us your method for popping?
Absolutely. Most all the air poppers will require a 1/2 cup of seed in it. So I'll put the 1/2 cup of seed in here. And then I put the lid on top of that, which then directs it into the bowl, and turn on my popper. The seed itself is heavier than what most seeds are. If you look down inside there, you'll see that the seeds are hardly even moving. That also can cause it to burn a little bit. And so as a result of that, I just kind of move it around a little bit during the process. It won't hurt your popper at all to shake it around. I wouldn't beat it against the countertop. Just gently shake it around, and it will rotate the seed so it's all getting the heat evenly on it.
Is this when you normally wear gloves when you're doing a large amount?
And I have some really nice ones right here. It's not too bad if you only do one batch, but if you start doing multiple batches of it, this plastic on this will begin to get hot enough that it'll burn your hands.
And when he's saying multiple batches, he's doing like big, massive amounts of popcorn. We don't do anything small around here.
20 or 30 gallons is about right.
Once it starts popping, do you keep shaking or do you
I shake through the entire process.
You're fine.
Okay, we're about through. You don't hear much popping anymore, and I just turn it off, pop the lid off, and just dump whatever's left right inside there. Now, if you notice, I dumped all the, oh, surprise! I dropped all the seed and everything in there too, which is not what you're gonna want in there. So we filter that. We use a frying basket. It's about a 12-inch round frying basket, but it's got 1/2-inch holes in it, which will then take all the small kernels and the seed and take those out. So then I'll just take and pour that into here and give it a little shake.
This also screens out kind of like the shell that's left over and the skin that you may not want to eat. This leaves you with like the beautiful pieces of the chocolate covered popcorn that you enjoy.
So once you've done that, you can put it back into a bowl or a bag if you're going to do a lot of it. And there you go. Now you've got what I call gourmet popcorn because you got rid of all the other stuff.
All right, we've got our popcorn all popped. We are ready to go. So the next step of our chocolate covered popcorn would be the chocolate component. I think the thing people ask all the time, I look at the shelves, I see all the options, and even around the world. What chocolate do you recommend?
We generally use the compound chocolates mainly because they're a little less expensive. Second is that they're a little bit easier to work with. We carry several different brands of it. Our main brand that we probably sell the most of is the Cotard product. It comes in two different ways. It comes in either a small wafer shape.
That's referred to as an appeal, right?
And that's about the size of a quarter in diameter, and these little appeals work very well. They also make a product that's called ribbon coating that is very similar but slightly different in its taste and texture of it.
And it melts a little thinner, right?
Yes, the ribbon coating does. Ribbon coating is actually formulated for coating popcorn. And so we use that as well a lot.
So you generally are sticking though, for your base to coat your original coating is just a white coating. You love like just a thin layer to get you started. Do you normally flavor this, or do you just do it regular and then allow your accent flavors to be or accent colors to be your flavors?
It depends on how much flavor you're trying to pull out. If you want a lot of flavor in there, I would recommend that you take the base coat and put some flavoring in that as well. And then on the accent coats that you put on there, they can be flavored either with a different or an addition to that same flavor to give it a stronger taste to it.
Because this first coating will be your dominant flavor, correct?
Right. I generally will use a light colored because we've got the dark appeals and so forth that you can go with the chocolate look and everything else. But I find that on popcorn, it's very difficult to get enough coating on there to completely coat the kernel or the popcorn. And so I use the light one because it basically becomes invisible on there, but yet still gives you the sweetness and the flavor. And then the drizzle will then go over the top of that and give it a good, nice contrast that you're looking for. I picked the appeals mainly because they come in a 25-pound box. The ribbon coating comes in a 50-pound box. I'm usually not that
ambitious.
Yes, I'm not ready to use up 50 pounds at one time, so I grabbed the other ones. Or for all of you, the best thing to do is buy it in these small 2.5 pound
Because this
bags.
does coat quite a bit.
Oh, quite a bit, yeah.
So don't think that you all need to go out buy 25-pound boxes of this. But when melting the appeals, there is a little bit of a temperature range there that you have to be careful with, right? And so when they reformulated their recipes a few years ago, it did require a partial tempering where you just have to make sure you're melting it between 120 and 125, correct?
Right.
And if they don't do that, what happens?
What happens is that if the chocolate doesn't reach that temperature to allow all the molecules to form in the chocolate, it will do two things. One, sometimes it will then harden with a very dull finish.
Kind of spotty sometimes,
Yeah,
right?
and it has a kind of a granular texture to it, which is not real appealing to as you're eating it. But when you get it to the right temperature, it will actually coat it very well. It's a very smooth texture. It also should have a shine to it. Mm-hmm. And so the temperature on melting these is critical.
So if you've experienced some of those things, maybe just, because it's almost just a tiny bit further than a melting point, right? And so if you experience kind of some dullness or some spotting of your chocolates afterwards, maybe just take it a little bit step further and melt it to that 120 to 125, and that should remedy all of that. Okay, should we start coating?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We find that one of our best friends is a thermometer. It's an infrared thermometer that will give you an instant read as you read it and tell you exactly where your temperature is. And handy little tool.
So we've got our bowl and a silicone bowl. If you guys have been around for a while and are familiar with these bowls, just know that us using this is showing you that, hey, we've still got more coming. But we have to give credit to you for this one, for opening everyone's eyes to realize that, like, wait a minute, this is an amazing bowl.
Well, I love them, and so it's easy for me to talk about them. Now, if you notice that we've melted all of our chocolate in the microwave using a silicone bowl. Now, you can also use a plastic bowl, something similar to this. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, just make sure that it's strong enough to be able to hold up to the heat as it heats up. But using a plastic bowl will work, or a silicone bowl. What you want to stay away from are glass bowls or a ceramic bowl, because those will actually hold the heat in the walls of the bowl and will take your chocolate and heat it too hot before the center will allow it to get to the right temperature. Even while you're stirring it, it will get too hot. So please avoid doing that. Just use a silicone or a plastic bowl, and you can see that the texture on here is it's just about right for being able to coat.
We also love these little plastic, they're very inexpensive, but I store my little plastic bowl with my chocolate because these plastic types of bowls will absorb other flavors. So say if you made leftover pasta salad and you stored it in here, chocolate and caramel will actually pull some of those flavors out. And so if you were using just a regular plastic bowl, you sometimes will get some distinct flavor changes in your chocolate. And so I store my little bowl with my chocolate so it doesn't accidentally get used by someone else using it for something that will then leave flavor. So these are like $2 or $3. So invest in a little chocolate bowl and just have this for your chocolate.
And pepperoni flavored chocolate probably isn't the right thing.
Italian dressing is never good in your chocolate. So now we've got our chocolate melted. To coat the chocolate, I feel like this is where everyone gets held up because they're nervous, they're afraid that this is going to just not work. So teach us your ways.
Well, what's that, about an 8-quart?
Yes.
This is about an 8-quart pan, or bowl, excuse me. If you'll get 2 of these, you can easily coat your popcorn. So I filled one bowl about 2/3 of the way full with the popcorn. I'm going to then now just pour the chocolate over the top of it.
This is the thing that some people are so intimidated by this aspect. just let it pour. Just coat as much as you can on the surface, because we're going to show you how we shake it to then coat it, but don't feel like you have to be stirring while you're pouring.
And I try to put more chocolate toward the center of the bowl rather than around the perimeter, because it will, the bowl will it'll start sticking to the bowl, and you want to try to keep it on the popcorn itself. So once I get it to this point here, and I've got it coated on the outside.
And we figured this is about 2 cups of chocolate, right?
About 2 cups. And I'll take it in a circular motion with another bowl on top.
Is there exercise so you can eat more popcorn?
Yeah. You can move it around just in a swirling motion, then you can start to move it up and down just a little bit.
This is time-tested, proven technique, so make sure you're using your hips on this one.
We can grab a couple of sheet pans. Maybe one might work. We'll try it. Okay, let's reveal.
Oh, look at that.
So you can see there's a little bit of chocolate that's coated on the outside of the pan, but not much.
But look how evenly coated that is. It's beautiful. I think one thing that the biggest mistake is when they try to do it with just one bowl and a spatula, they're smashing the seed, right?
Breaks it up.
And so this will help just evenly coat it without breaking it into small pieces.
So once you've got it to this point here, just spread it out on your pan. You don't want to be too thick on there. I'm going to save some over here for this one. You can see it there. And then I just take my spatula and just spread it out on the pan. You only want it to be about one layer thick on it. If you get too many layers, then you won't coat properly for your accent coatings.
Have you ever tried to do this with microwave popcorn?
No. I don't know any microwave popcorn that doesn't already have like butter and salt and everything else like that on it, and I would prefer to have a empty palette to be able to work with.
Well, and one thing that people always say, how come you can keep your chocolate covered popcorn taste like it's crunchy still? And I think when they're trying to use microwave popcorn, oftentimes it's just making it soggy underneath there. So I'm hearing like this crunchiness, and it maybe reminded me of that.
Now, at this point here, if you wanted to put something on there that you want to stick to the popcorn, now is the time to do it. It only gives you a few seconds to be able to do that. So I'm actually going to sprinkle some of this. These are some crushed peppermint. I'm going to put over the top. And that will stick to that popcorn coating, that chocolate coating, before it sets up.
So sprinkles, or maybe candy pieces, maybe mini chocolate chips. I'm trying to think what else we could.
We've used
crushed Oreos.
Yeah, we've used a lot of different things on there. But if you wait too long until it starts to get skin on it, it won't stick. And then when you mix it up, all the coatings will fall into the bottom.
Or if you're waiting for it to just coat into your accent pieces, it's just not a lot to then stick to. So that alone right there looks beautiful and ready to go, but we're not done, right?
No.
So a fun way to add color and flavor and just a little bit of variety is to do a drizzle on top of our popcorn. You've got quite the technique for this. You prefer not a squeeze bottle, not a spoon, just a silicone spoonula.
You can use a squeeze bottle, but you have to use all the chocolate up, and the problem you get with it is it will begin to harden in the nozzle, and then you have a difficult time getting it out, and you have to keep microwaving it. But I prefer to do it in just a small bowl. I use the spatulas that you see out there. Some of them are flat, and then others have a little bit of a bowl shape to it. This one is what's referred to as a spoonula, and so it...
Here's our regular silicone spatula, and then he likes one with a little bit more, and the one you're using is a little bit bigger, but a bowl shape to it.
And so I'll get that in there, and I'll put some chocolate into the bowl itself, and then I'll take it and I'll drizzle over the top.
And I think the thing that people should pay attention to is the wrist action. You're not like going crazy. It's just a simple, subtle movement, but it's creating the perfect lines and the perfect accent, allowing the chocolate to spread thinly and beautifully across everything. This is talent.
Really?
Lots of years of practice.
I've had some pretty good globs fall in there in the past, but this time it worked out pretty good. And you can go different directions on it as well. Now keep in mind on this when you're coating as well, the popcorn, you're only coating about 25% of the popcorn. It looks like I'm putting
the top layer.
Yeah,
right?
and so there's at least 3/4 of the popcorn that's not getting affected at all with this. So you can put a fair amount on there, and when you stir it up, it'll show much less contrast.
So when you are layering it, you will do one, and then you'll lift it up, like you kind of, and then do the other side, correct? Do you allow the first layer of chocolate to harden first, or do you like to just do it all at once?
You mean the white?
The white, yeah.
The white, I like to let it harden first, and then I'll stir it a little bit with my hands. Kind of massage it so it can break it up, otherwise it gets to be too clumpy. And then it has a tendency to break up your accent colors more. But if you stir it up, let it sit there for a while, and then put your accent color on there, and in between accents, you want to let that cure all the way and harden, because it will just start to smear all over and make a big mess.
No, that's beautiful. Ready to go. Now that we've taught you the components of making it, this is where your creativity can come alive. This is where it's so much fun to just allow different colors and different flavors to be shown and expressed. But there's a few limitations when it comes to coloring and flavoring chocolate.
One of the things that you need to be really careful with is chocolate being a oil-based product needs to have colorings and flavorings put in it that are oil-based. And so if you go and buy coloring and so forth and food coloring type things, make sure that it says that it's an oil base on what you buy. Most of your water-based flavorings and colorings that you buy will not work properly with the chocolate. There are a few exceptions that we can do, and we'll talk a little bit about that.
We'll give you some ways to help use those to make it so that you can have a little bit more fun with it. But if you're looking for straight across, like your regular Americolor has water in it, your regular store-bought food coloring has water in it. So when you go to add it to your chocolate, it will cause it to seize, which it will clump up, it will get hard, it no longer is pourable, and there's nothing worse when you're in the middle of a project and these things happen. So to keep it always perfect, look for oil-based food coloring and flavorings. But today we're going to show you what it looks like. So we've just got some Lauren flavoring, and it is a water base, and so we're going to add it to some of our chocolate here, and we're going to show you what happens to your chocolate. So as we're stirring our flavoring in, you can see it almost comes to a paste. This means we've got too much water added to our flavoring, or to our chocolate, and it's just not gonna drizzle. It's not gonna coat. It's gonna be like a Tootsie Roll.
And in most cases, it can't be fixed.
Look at that.
That's really thick. That is seized chocolate. It will never get a sheen to it. Most cases, it won't ever set up. It'll just stay like that in this paste form, as Heather referred to it as. And so that's pretty much what seized chocolate looks like. Let's see if we can save some of this. This is a lot on here. But I'm going to take some cocoa butter, which this is a powdered cocoa butter, and I'm going to add to that, which is going to increase the oil content in it. Let's see if, just for fun, if we can save this.
You just said it's not fixable.
I didn't, so far hasn't fixed it. It's getting a little bit more pliable, but it's still not where we want to have it.
It is pouring at least.
Barely. It's starting to break down a little bit.
Do you want a little bit more?
Throw a little more in, and maybe I will heat it just a little bit too.
More?
Let me give it a little heat. See if we can, it's cooling down too quite a bit.
So when picking your flavorings, you'll want to, if you want something that will always work, look for something that says oil, where this is going to say a flavor. The oils will always work within chocolate, where the flavors are going to have to be added with some of the cocoa butter or maybe even some coconut oil to help it have a little bit of barrier to work with chocolate. Look at that.
Not perfect, but and that was a tremendous amount of flavor that we put in it. Yeah, but you could save it though.
That's great. So there are a few things you can do to add to regular food coloring or flavoring to act as like a barrier to protect your chocolate from the water that's inside of it. One of the things is using the powdered cocoa butter. You can use this if it starts to thicken up, add some of this, maybe a little bit of heat from the microwave, and just allow this to then re-coat those water molecules or particles. I don't even know, I'm not a chemist, but there's something magical about the cocoa butter that will then revive your chocolate. So if you want to even just add some of this melted with your regular food coloring or flavoring beforehand, this will kind of just help coat it to make it usable in your chocolate.
There's another product that can be used too. It's an oil-based, it's called Flow Coat, which you can add to it as well. The ingredients on this are propylene glycol and lecithin. Your cocoa butter that Heather was talking about is a natural ingredient. This is not a natural ingredient, but it will also work for that as well.
But a lot of people love using this when just coloring chocolate. So it's 5 drops of this to 1 drop of AmeriColor, and it just, again, coats those. So there's a couple options so that you can have more variety and more flavor options when using this for chocolate.
After your accent coating is hardened, then you take it and kind of massage it and just move it around. You can see how the concentration of the accent is diluted as you start to break it up because of the fact that we've only coated a small portion of the popcorn.
So breaking up and getting it this way allows us to then put another coating. Sometimes you'll do something, say for Christmas, you'll do a green accent. Do you try and coat both sides with red first? Or do you just like maybe not do this side with green?
Typically, I'll just do it one drizzle of each. But if you want more accent and more contrast in it, you can definitely coat it more and more times with the same color to get more of the popcorn coated with it. So you can see here, that's just with the red, one coating, then stirred up a little bit and massaged around. And then I'm going to go ahead and drizzle a chocolate drizzle on top of it, give it an additional accent.
Well, and sometimes when you are doing accents of color, you're also incorporating, that's where your flavor is. So do you normally maybe over flavor your chocolate because that flavor is only coming from these drizzles, or do you feel like just like get it to a good flavor and then that will be strong enough just because this popcorn is just, so small?
Well, you want to get an equal or a good balance in what you're doing is the important thing. Some of your flavors, like a peppermint oil, a cinnamon oil, if you're going to get into some of the licorice flavors and things like that, an anise or something like that, they're very strong flavors, and so you just put a little bit in there, and then one drizzle is all you need on it. Others are a little bit less potent on the flavor, and so you would want to perhaps even do the first coating with some flavoring in it.
So the white?
Yeah, the white coating, and then the second accent, you'd also put some flavoring in it as well, because you need the extra punch that you're going to get from it.
I think the flavor combinations that you come up with is what has drawn people to keep coming back each year, because you're always showing unique ways. I love how you've incorporated sweet and savory, and oftentimes we were introduced to a fun combination of an orange popcorn mixed with like a dark chocolate, which came from a gentleman that came from Idaho, right? And said it was tiger tail ice cream or something like that.
It had some dark chocolate with it, but it also had anise flavoring. And the anise was just set it off and made it great.
So it's been so fun to have your guys' flavor combinations throughout the classes, because it kind of pushes us. But different flavors that we've done through class are, one of my favorites is just the coconut drizzled with a dark chocolate. It's a perfect combination of that, but you've also taken like our pickle seasoning for popcorn and added that. And at first I thought, oh my gosh, this is mixed pickle and white chocolate and popcorn. Way crazy flavors. It was so good. It was a fun flavor. You did kind of like a chili? Was it a
chili and a jalapeno?
Jalapeno, yeah.
Yeah.
So do not be afraid to use some of those fun flavors that are in your pantry. Don't be afraid to experiment with color and flavor and just have fun. If there's flavors that you love in, say, of an ice cream, you can easily incorporate those same types of flavor combinations into your popcorn. But I think our most popular have been obviously the peppermint with the peppermint pieces, drizzled with some red and green chocolate. I loved when we chopped up cinnamon bears and did it with cinnamon popcorn. It just was a fun combination. The texture of the cinnamon bears is really great. I know a lot of people go to the movie theater and dump like their hot tamales inside their popcorn bucket. It's kind of along those same lines. What are some others that you have loved making?
All of your fruit flavors are great. If you get into a lemon and a lime or any fruit,
Yeah.
you can mix those well and add a chocolate to it, and it accents it and makes it taste really good. But the fun thing about it is I don't know there may be one or two that I've done over the years that I thought, I don't think I'll do that again. But almost every one it's hard to have it go wrong.
Yes, and at Christmas time we usually have big tables out where people can come and try the popcorn. And so this is something we will be missing this year. So hopefully you guys can do some fun batches at home with yourself. Oh, one that I loved was when you added powdered peanut butter.
Oh.
So you just added it right into your white chocolate, right? And then it made it a peanut butter with some chocolate. So good. I need some right now.
That was our Reese's flavor.
So it was a great way to incorporate peanut butter flavor without using the oils and stuff like that. So anything else we're missing?
I don't know, but you can coat with as many different flavors, as many different accent colors as you want to build. If you've got a party that you have certain colors you want to try to plan for as a theme on it, you can just plan your popcorn to match that and accent the colors that you want to. Another thing to keep in mind too is that you can actually color it one color, but yet have a completely different flavor to it if you want to.
You like to play that trick.
But sometimes it's kind of like if you've ever taken sugar and put it on something that you want to eat, and then you realize it was salt. Sometimes it kind of messes with you a little bit. But it's.
I think you once flavored orange chocolate with lemon, and just to see, or raspberry or something, and people were like, "Wait, what is this?" Because they were instantly thinking it was going to be orange, and then it was a totally different flavor. So have some fun with it. Storage-wise, how long would you say? Because I think this is something that you could make ahead of time. So say if you're having a party or an event, how long does this last?
The nice thing about this popcorn, once it's coated on there, and if you keep it in an airtight bag, it's weeks that it will store. And so this is something that you can prepare way in advance. And I wouldn't put it in the fridge or anything, just keep it in a room temperature in an airtight bag. And weeks later, it'll be just as fresh.
Love it. Well, let's drizzle our way
I'm
out here.
I'm gonna drizzle. It's been sitting for a while now. It's a little thicker, but I'm gonna drizzle a second coat on here.
Again, it's that wrist action. I'm not that talented yet. Well, hopefully you were able to learn something new, something that you could incorporate into your holiday season. If you have any questions, let us know. He's always here, ready to help, ready to chat, and just loves to hear your stories as well. So anything else we need to add?
Well, that's what I really like is your stories.
Yes.
So if you can give us any stories of new recipes that you've tried and things that you'd like to add to it, maybe even different techniques that you've tried. We're always trying to learn so that we can pass that on to everybody else. So thank you very much for participating today.
Thanks for coming.
And thanks, Heather, for making me feel good to be able to participate.
Oh, that's not a hard job, but enjoy and have a great extravaganza.